no hopes for retirement. But thanks to Teeka Tiwari, she turned the little savings she had left, about $12,000, into $1.2 million in just 18 months. After turning $10,000 into $330,000, a couple from Ohio said they'd now be able to retire without a mortgage. A struggling farmer from Illinois was barely making any money from his corn and soybeans. But after following Teeka's work, he was able to turn a few $1,000s into a $2.5 million fortune. You know, when it comes to cryptocurrency, no one has given more people the chance to transform their lives than Teeka Tiwari. And when it comes to his recommendations, none are more profitable than what he calls catch-up coins. Less than 1% of people realize that they exist, and yet one catch-up coin alone can represent an entire lifetime of wealth creation. Teeka's past catch-up coins have skyrocketed for gains as high as 35,662%, 48,370%, and even 151,323% in just 10 months. If you missed out on those gains, pay close attention, because in the next few minutes, Teeka will tell us about a rare event he calls the catch-up coin hyperboom. For the first time ever, he's actually going to give you the name of his top catch-up coin for free. And if he's right, he says you could bridge the financial gap between the life you currently have and the life you want in as little as 10 months. Hi, I'm John Burke, and I'll be your host for tonight's event. I'm here with America's most trusted cryptocurrency expert, and that's not just me saying it. After giving so many people the chance to transform their lives, well, it's not hard to see why 130,000 independent analysts have picked Teeka Tiwari as the #1 crypto expert. Teeka, good to see you. Welcome.
John, it's great to be here, and it's wonderful to see you again. John, I just want to say I just couldn't be more proud of what our research has been able to do for our subscribers. We've been able to give everyday people the chance to win back literally decades of wealth that they lost in the dot-com meltdown and the great financial crisis. And they've done it through what I call my catch-up coin strategy. So I got to say, I'm super excited to dive right into this and explain it.
Yeah, well, that makes two of us. And I know that according to your research, we're facing an urgent situation in the crypto market. As a matter of fact, you're joining us remotely because, well, we really just couldn't wait for you to be here in the studio with me. And it's all because of a rare event that you call the hyperboom, an event that's about to hit the crypto market, creating another chance, maybe the last chance, for folks to get the lives that they want. But, you know, before we get into the details of that, I want to remind everyone that we'll have a Q&A session a little bit later on in the broadcast. Now, you can see a box to your right. So type any questions you have right in there, and we'll do our best to answer them. Just keep in mind, we can't give personalized investment advice, but please, don't hold back. Ask anything you want, and I promise we'll go as long as it takes to cover everything. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a treat tonight, because Teeka is going to reveal exactly what his catch-up coin strategy is and why he believes they are about to go through a hyperboom. During the broadcast, he'll discuss a brand new portfolio that he put together with details on 6 catch-up coins that he has never disclosed before. And Teeka, from what I understand, tonight you'll also give away the name of one of those coins for free. And if you don't mind, I want to talk a little bit more about that before we move on, because I went back and I looked at your past free picks, and I was absolutely stunned by their performance. This is so shocking that I asked our production team to create a table with the results. There should be something coming up on the screen right now. Take a look at this. This is amazing. Teeka, of all the 10 picks that you've given away in past broadcasts, just like this one, they've all gone up. Not a single loser. And the peak gains are not small either. They go from as low as 75% to as high as 8,205%, with some of these gains happening as quickly as 2 months. And the average peak gain, more than 17 times your money. That's insane. So, Teeka, just to be clear, you'll be sharing one of your catch-up coins completely free, no strings attached, right?
100%. I value everyone's time. So I want to really give everyone a thank you for joining me here tonight. And in order to do that, I'm going to give away the name of one of my catch-up coins for free. Now, let me be very clear. You don't have to subscribe to any of my services. I'm not going to make you jump through any hoops or give a credit card or anything like that. When I say free, I'm going to give you the name of this coin for free. And John, you can see just by the chart that you showed a moment ago, when I give away something, it has real value. And that's especially true with this little known area of the crypto market I call catch-up coins. You see, these are projects that experience staggering moves higher in a very compressed period of time. You know, coins like the three that you already mentioned that rose up as much as 35,662%. 48,370%, and even 151,323% in just 10 months. Even just $1,000 in that last coin would have been worth over $1.5 million. When you can make that much money that quickly, it allows you to catch up. And that's why I call these coins catch-up coins. You know, $1.5 million in 10 months is literally a lifetime of retirement savings in less than a year. And that is how you bridge the financial gap between where you are now and where you want to be in the future. And that is the singular beauty of these coins, because no matter how far behind you think you are in life, the right basket of the right catch-up coins can help you close that gap in an instant. And it is my belief that the event that it's coming, an event that I call the hyper boom, will be like a barrel of TNT sitting on top of a crate of nitroglycerin, lying on top of 100 tons of weapons-grade plutonium.
Wow.
The explosive move up in these catch-up coins, John, will be staggering. It will be beyond anything we've ever seen before. And I found 6 of what I believe to be the very best catch-up coins I have ever discovered. You see, John, these 6 coins, in my belief, can transform your life in an instant. From where you're worrying and literally despairing about how you're going to bridge that gap, to the point of where you, in a moment, you have that freedom and you have that peace of mind that comes from knowing that you don't have to worry about money anymore. You don't have to worry about having a dignified retirement anymore. That level of confidence that brings to your life, I want everybody to experience that. Now, I have to be very clear though. Can I guarantee that those results will happen? Of course not. I can't guarantee that. What I can guarantee though is that this is an approach to wealth building that gives you the potential to get the life you've always wanted, but without putting the life you've already built at risk. And you can do it in as little as 10 months.
I can see that. And Tika, most people never reveal their secret sauce. And this is why I find this so fascinating, because you know as well as anybody, Coca-Cola would never reveal their secret formula. You've never shared the exact details behind this strategy before, but tonight, you're pulling back the curtain and revealing everything behind the stunning success of your catch-up coin. This approach, why would you do that?
The answer is very simple, John. There are millions of Americans my age and older that are struggling. They don't know how they're going to plug that gap between where they are now and where they want to be by the time they retire. They got destroyed in 2008 and they got destroyed in 2003. And they're trying to catch up. But you know what ugly truth they're waking up to every morning, John?
That they'll never get there.
That they'll never get there. They are realizing that even if the S&P 500 rises 20% a year for the next 5 years, it won't be enough to bridge the gap between where they are and where they want to be. Even if the NASDAQ were to rise 30% a year for 5 years straight, it still won't get them there. Even if they find the next Facebook that's been up as much as 195% in the last 5 years, it still doesn't get there where they want to go. They could find the next Google that's been up as much as 240% in the last 5 years. That still doesn't plug the gap. Even if they were lucky enough to find Google, Facebook, and then Netflix, which has risen as much as 529% over the last 5 years. Those three stocks are still not enough to bridge the gap between where they are now and where they need to be to have the type of retirement they want. Friends, I will tell you a cold, hard truth right now that nobody on Wall Street will tell you, and it's this. There is no stock index on this planet that can move fast enough or far enough to bridge the gap that lies between where you are now and getting the life you want. It does not exist in the traditional markets. The lowest risk, highest reward way I know of bridging that gap in a reasonable time frame is with catch-up coins. And that's why I'm here tonight. I want to show you how to catch up and to do it in a way, and this is critical, that does not put your current lifestyle at risk. Now, to get to your question, why would I give this information away? The answer is simple. I understand that not everyone can work with me. Not everybody has the financial wherewithal to work with me. But that shouldn't stop you from finding out the single best way I've discovered to go from where you are now to where you want to be in as little as 10 months. And that, John, is the reason why I decided I'm going to reveal all the details on my catch-up coin strategy, the same strategy I've used to help my readers see gains of as high as 151,000% in as little as 10 months. You see, it all has to do with a little known indicator I've used to help my readers. For example, you mentioned a woman from Tennessee earlier, correct?
That's right, the one who made $1.2 million.
Yeah, she is a beautiful soul. Her name is Betty Jane. She and her husband had lost most of her savings to absolutely no fault of their own. They were defrauded. So she was looking at her life and she realized she had no hope of ever achieving a comfortable retirement. You see, the gap between where she was and where she wanted to be had become so large because of what this fraudster had done to their finances. She couldn't even see the other side. She was barely making ends meet when she found my research. Her belief was her and her husband would never be able to catch up. But she did something truly incredible. She took a risk. She invested $12,000 into a few of my catch-up coins. And in just 18 months, she cashed out with $1.2 million. John, I want to put this in perspective for everybody watching tonight. Do you know how long it would have taken her to turn $12,000 into $1.2 million if she was just investing in stocks?
I have no idea, Tika.
Well, John, even if the stock market jumped 20% every single year, like clockwork, which we all know is physically impossible, markets can't do that. The average return on stocks is usually 8 to 10% a year. But let's say for a minute, we're living in some magic world where the stock market jumps 20% a year. Under that implausible scenario, it still would have taken her 25 years to turn $12,000 into $1.2 million.
Unbelievable, just unspeakable, amazing.
25 years, John. And that's 25 years, assuming the market goes up 20% a year every year, which it can't. I don't know about you, John, but I'm 50 years old. I can't wait until I'm 75 to have a dignified retirement. And I'm sure Betty Jane couldn't either. So the reality is she would have never been able to catch up in time for retirement. And what's so amazing about these catch-up coins, many of my readers say they've used these coins to catch up as well. And right now, thanks to this historic event, an event which I'll tell everybody about in a minute, that I'm calling the hyper boom, it's an event that nobody is really talking about. My belief is that anyone who acts today will have the same chance, just like Betty Jane had. And look, I know that's a bold statement. And if you've never worked with me before, I wouldn't blame you for having doubts. I'm here tonight to show you how I found extraordinary opportunities for hundreds, literally hundreds of thousands of people, not once, not twice, but multiple times. My past catch-up coins have already given everyday investors the chance to turn $1,000, just $1,000, into $27,700, $38,300, $55,400, $58,000, $74,723, $151,000, $160,000, $357,000, $484,700, and $1.5 million. What do they all have in common? They were catch-up coins, and those gains came from simply $1,000 investment. And I believe my next set of catch-up coins have the same potential. And again, to prove it, I'm going to give you the name of my number one catch-up coin for free tonight, for free.
Tika, I hear everything you've said here, and I've seen your track record, and I've watched you repeatedly make outlandish predictions that have come true, and not just in the crypto space. For example, in 2003, shares of Apple had just crashed 70%. And we have a chart of that. Let's take a look at that. Now, nobody wanted to touch it, but when you were on Wall Street, you picked Apple for your private clients in the midst of all that chaos, and shares exploded more than 56,000%. That even looks like one of your crypto picks, Tika. And then in 2014, pretty much every expert on the planet was calling for a crash. But then there's you. Not you. You went on the stage and you said the bull market would continue for years. And you told folks to use any pullback to buy more stocks. We actually, you know what? We have footage of that. Let me play a short clip right now.
Friends, you cannot let this opportunity escape you. Even if you only put a small amount of money, dollar cost averaging into the market, you are going to crush the returns of virtually every professional money manager out there. And you're going to do it without losing sleep. Okay, so what action should you take? You got to buy the dips. Will there be volatility? Heck yes, there's going to be volatility. Look at 1987. Between August and October, the market was down about 30%. In the early 1990s, we were down 19.5%. You're going to have sell-offs. It's going to happen. It's an unavoidable part of investing in the stock market. The key here, the key information you need to walk away from, am I in a secular bear or am I in a secular bull? If you're in a secular bear, then yes, you need to be afraid. But if you're in a secular bull market, you just batten down the hatches and you ride out that storm. You ride out that storm. You buy quality companies, you use good risk management, and you don't worry about the volatility.
I got to tell you, Tika, I wish I had met you back then because you were 100% spot on right. The stock market has been on fire since your presentation, with the S&P 500 jumping 165%. And every pullback was an opportunity to buy, just like you predicted. Not even a global pandemic has been able to stop this bull market. Then, of course, there's cryptos. You predicted the rise of Bitcoin before anyone that I know. And after picking Bitcoin at about $400 in 2016, you also called Ethereum the next Bitcoin. And you said Ethereum would jump almost 13,000%. Tika, this particular call right here, that was, what's the word?
It was insane. A lot of people thought I was insane.
Yes, that's it. It seemed insane. There's just no other way to put it. Ethereum had just gone from 43 cents to $9, and you were saying it would actually go higher than $1,100 a coin.
Yeah, I've got to tell you, John, many people at the time, they really thought I was delusional.
Yeah, and yet, here we are. Ethereum jumped even higher than you predicted, and anyone who bought it when you first recommended it had a chance to turn $1,000 into almost $500,000. What I'm saying, Tika, is that time and time and time again, you've been right. I mean, it's really incredible. But it also begs this question. This is what I want to ask you. After all these massive gains, isn't it really too late for folks like me? I mean, from the outside looking in, it just feels like I'm too late. So what do you say to the person that feels the way I do and might be thinking the same thing?
I'd say I get it. I understand it because on the surface, it really does look like it's too late, right?
Well, that's my point. I mean, Tika, I went back to check on your track record, and I found 22 tokens that you recommended that have gone up at least 1,000%. 22, Tika. Many have gone up much more than that, like you just mentioned. Most people go their entire lives and never make 1,000% in any investment. But you found not one, not two, not three, but a total of 22 coins that delivered that opportunity to at least 10x your money. And while that was really good for the folks who've been listening to you, it just seems over. It really feels like we missed the boat. Am I right?
Look, I get why you would feel that way. And also not just with cryptos, even with stocks. I mean, looking at the markets, everything has gone up so much already. It does kind of feel like you missed your turn. It feels like no one can get caught up anymore, that all the money's been made, the last bus is left, and you're kind of standing there abandoned at the bus stop in the pouring rain. So, John, I'm going to talk to everybody at home for a second here, because this is incredibly important. Friends, if you're watching this and you're thinking, wow, Tika, man, you were right. I should have listened to you when you first recommended these catch-up coins, but now it's too late. The train has left the station. I get why you feel that way. I remember feeling that way in the 80s and the 90s when I looked at stocks like Oracle and Microsoft and Intel and Cisco and Sun Microsystems. And they had these huge moves by 1995, and I thought it was over. And it was a terrible mistake because they still had so much more upside in them. So I can't blame you for thinking like that. But I'm going to tell you right now, unequivocally, you're wrong to think like that. And I'll tell you why. Because just recently, in the last few weeks, everything has changed. And I want you to pay very special attention to what I'm about to say. You see, right now, the stars are aligned for what I am calling a hyper boom in these catch-up cryptos. Now, what does that mean? What is a hyper boom? It means my research shows me that the biggest gains, just like in 1995, are actually ahead of us. They're not in the past. Now, if you told somebody that in 1995, they would have thought you were crazy because all these stocks had gone up so much. But yet, the biggest move was between 1995 and the year 2000. Now, the difference here in the crypto market is because of a brand new, truly unprecedented event. You see, this is the first time we're ever seeing something like this happening in the crypto market. I've been deeply involved in the crypto space for the past 6 years, and I can guarantee you, and that's a word I don't like to use, but I can guarantee you that no one has ever seen anything like this in the crypto space before. No one. People will look back today, and talk about this event as the moment that everything changed for cryptos. The way they do now when they look back at 1995 in the tech stock market. And I'll tell you exactly what's happening today, because I believe this event will trigger a gigantic boom in a handful of coins, a hyper boom. And if I'm right, and I believe I am, just like I've been 22 times in the past, you're going to get a rare chance to catch up like that. Let me be clear, friends. This opportunity is only going to happen one time. That means you must take action today. If you act now, you could potentially make even more money than my early crypto millionaires made back in 2016 and 2017. Now, can I guarantee that? Can I guarantee my new catch-up coins will make you a millionaire? Of course I can't. That's ridiculous. Even back during 2016 and 2017, with the 22 tokens I recommended that jumped at least 1,000%, you know what I said? You know what I said, John?
What's that?
I said there is no guarantee. Even when I gave my readers a chance to turn $1,000 into over $1.5 million, do you know what I told my readers, John?
Tell me.
I said, friends, there's no guarantee. Anybody who tells you they can guarantee a way to make you money in cryptocurrency is either a liar or delusional. And either way, you should run the other way. So what I want you to do tonight is to have an open mind. And I'm going to speak to you as an adult, as a high reasoning, high functioning adult. I'm not going to tell you a fairy tale and have you hope and pray that something happens. I'm going to unveil the facts that I use to make the decisions that have made me the #1 crypto analyst in the world for the last 6 years. It all comes down to a simple strategy that has given thousands of everyday Americans, just like you, the chance to make literally decades worth of wealth in as little as 10 months. And they've had that chance even when the markets were in the depths of despair through crypto winter or scaling the heights of euphoria. The key has been my catch-up coin strategy.
Well, Tika, you certainly have my attention now. And folks, we're just getting started here. Now, in just a moment, Tika will reveal the name of his #1 catch-up coin. So grab a piece of paper and pen to write it down because, like I mentioned before, his free picks are absolutely on fire. The average gain is as much as 1,748%. That's more than 17 times your money. At one of these events, very similar to the one that you're watching right now, Tika promised his free pick would skyrocket. Then, just 2 months later, it jumped 1,688%. That's more than 16 times your money, just like that. In another one of those cases, you could have made 8,205%, enough to turn $1,000 into more than $83,000. So it's not an exaggeration to say this free recommendation alone could hand you the biggest gain of your life. Spending this night with Tika might turn out to be the best investment of your time ever. So just stick with us a few more minutes and you'll get the name of this catch-up coin absolutely free. And don't forget, we also have our Q&A coming up a little bit later on. Now, Tika, when I hear you saying that we get one more chance, it really gets me fired up. But I still get this doubt in the back of my mind. I mean, is it really possible? We normally don't get second chances in the markets, you know that. So I really hope this hyper boom phase in these catch-up coins is as powerful as you say. So please, tell us more about how your catch-up coin strategy works.
Absolutely, John. You see, no matter what type of market you are in, up, down, flat, sideways, there are always a handful of coins that experience a strange, I guess you could call it a quirk. And it's almost as if a bright light, a bright spotlight is shining on them and points them out as bright as day as catch-up coins, at least to me. And that's because I have a tool that shows me their catch-up coins. And tonight, I'm going to tell everybody all about it. I'm going to reveal my approach. I'm going to share the tool that I use to find them. And I'm going to explain everything I've learned about both identifying and investing in catch-up coins. Now, as I mentioned before, I've identified 6 catch-up coins I believe can help everybody watching here tonight catch up, literally bridge the gap between where they are now and where they want to be in as little as 10 months. And instead of me just telling you how this works, what I want to do, John, is I want to show you so both you can see it with your own eyes and everybody at home can see exactly what I do in order to find these life-changing coins. So I'm going to show you an example from one catch-up coin from 2016. You should be seeing it on your screen right now.
Yep, there it is.
John, I want you to take a look at this image. And I know you're not a trader, but when you see that, what's the first thing you're thinking?
Just me, it looks terrible. It looks terrible to me.
Right. I mean, let's be honest here. You could be 8 years old and realize this chart looks like death, right?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't buy it. Let's put it that way.
Right. And I wouldn't blame you. Most people looked at this chart back in 2016 and they came to the same conclusion that this thing is finished, stay away. This is a fundamental mistake that many people have made in the crypto space. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the chart that I was looking at when I was hunting for life-changing coins back in 2016. I want you to pay very special attention to this because on this special chart that's not easily available to the public, when it crosses that green line, this chart screams, buy, buy, buy. It's like a neon sign going across the sky. Now, I want you to compare that to the chart everyone else was looking at. That chart was screaming, sell, sell, sell. Can you see that, John?
Yes, yes. And it looks like it's breaking out to a much higher level.
Exactly. Just as the crypto price seemed to be in free fall, the indicator, the same indicator I relied on for the last 6 years to help my readers make money, was making new highs. And that's why I continued to recommend this particular coin, even though the price was getting hammered. Now, anyone who listened to me had the chance to see peak gains as high as 72,849%. John, let me put that dollar figure into perspective for you. That turns $1,000. Think about this, John. How many times have you frittered away $1,000 in your life?
Countless, Tika.
Countless. We all have. That turns $1,000 into more than $729,000.
I have two words for you on that one. Game changer. So one catch-up coin alone could get you all caught up. Is that what you're saying?
That's it, John. It just takes one coin. And here's what I want everyone to understand. I found the 6 coins I'm going to be talking about tonight using the same exact indicator. The same indicator that found the other coins that could have turned $1,000 into $357,000, that turns $1,000 into $484,000, that turns $1,000 into $1.5 million in just 10 months. And that is what is at stake here tonight. Except this time, I believe it can happen faster and be even bigger than ever before. It's all because of this event I call the hyper boom, an event that the crypto market has never seen before, an event that I believe will lead to the biggest boom in catch-up coins we've ever seen, bigger than 2016 and even bigger than 2017.
Okay, so I want to ask you about this event in just a moment, but first, Tika, let me ask you this. You know, we've seen a correction in cryptos recently with Bitcoin. You've seen it dropping from $60,000 all the way down to $30,000. So my question is, does your strategy work in that kind of environment?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm going to show you how the catch-up coin strategy works in any market, up, down, flat. And this is the real beauty of this strategy. Again, it doesn't matter if the market's gunning higher and everyone's going crazy for crypto, or even if the market's falling off a cliff and everyone hates crypto, or even if the market's just kind of in that flatline space, kind of how it was over the summer. So there should be a chart coming up on your screen right now. This is an example of a down market and of how I use the catch-up coin strategy in a down market. So just take a look at this chart. And again, John, I know you're not a trader. I know you don't sit in front of the screen all day, but with what you know of charts, would you buy this?
No, I would not. It doesn't look good. I'm saying it's in a free fall.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the everyday prudent investor would not touch that idea with a 10-foot barge pole, right?
Right.
And that's the decision that most people made, which is, why that coin went into free fall. I want to remind everybody, this was after crypto winter. Cryptocurrencies were getting destroyed. And these were the type of headlines you would have found around that time. Bitcoin will go to zero. So I can't blame anyone for passing on this crypto. But what I want to do is I want to show you the chart that I was looking at, John. Take a look at this chart. And what do you see here?
Well, first glance, it's very different. I mean, that actually is going higher, so it looks pretty good to me. Is this for the same crypto, Tika?
It is, and that's what's so exciting. It's the exact same crypto, but the chart, it's telling you a completely different story. And you can see here, when it crosses that line, what is it saying? Buy, buy, buy. You've got that neon sign across the sky, right? Here's the beauty of this indicator. You could be looking at the ugliest chart in the world, but as long as my chart looks this good and it's crossing that line, it means you should buy it. And in this case, this catch-up coin jumped by more than 41,000%. John, do you know how much money that makes you?
Well, that's 400 times your money, right?
Right. So you put $1,000, which you and I have both admitted, goodness gracious, we have frittered away $1,000 more times than we can count.
That's right.
But if you put $1,000 into this catch-up coin, you wait a little over a year, and you cash out with $410,000. John, that's a life-changing. I want to put that in perspective for you. We're going to play a game here for a second. Let's say you're the best stock picker in the world.
Okay.
You're better than anybody. No one comes even close. And let's say you were able to pick the best performing stock during that same period. You would have found this company. It's a casino operator called Penn National Gaming. And let's say you didn't listen to me and you said, you know what? Forget you, Tika, and your crazy crypto picks. I'm the best stock picker in the world. So I'm going to put $1,000 into Penn National Gaming, which was the best performing stock during that period. Guess how much you would have made?
No idea.
Well, that stock had a very impressive jump. It jumped 837%. So you could have turned that same $1,000 into $9,370. I won't take anything away from that. That's a great trade. Maybe you can use that money to do a remodel in your kitchen, pay off some debt, or put a down payment on a nice Mercedes. But is that going to move the needle on your financial life?
On my financial life? No, not really.
No, it's not. And that's my point, John. Even if you had perfect information on the stock market's next biggest winner, stocks still cannot move far enough or fast enough to transform $1,000 into hundreds of thousands of dollars in as little as a year. Stocks just can't do it. Only catch-up coins can.
That is fascinating, Tika. So what is behind this indicator? I mean, can you tell us how that works?
I promise you, I'll tell you everything about it. I refuse to hold anything back. Before I do that, I want to show you another catch-up coin. So there should be a chart coming up on your screen right now. Mm-hmm. Again, what's your first instinct when you look at this chart, John?
Well, that one looks even worse than the last one you showed me.
All right, it looks like death by 1,000 cuts.
Right.
We all own stocks that look like this. So, you're looking at this ugly chart, but also around that time, there were these kinds of headlines that you'd also find. Right, so here's one. Bitcoin's place in the long history of pyramid schemes. So this is not from any no-name blog. It's from the Financial Times, one of the biggest, most respected financial newspapers in the world. So think about it, right? You're in this moment of time, you look at this chart, you look at this headline from the FT. What's the sensible, prudent thing to do? Do you buy it or do you run away from it like it has the plague?
No, you run away from it like it has the plague. You'd have to be crazy to buy that thing.
And that's what everyone thought. But I want you to look at the chart that I was looking at. You can see that it's crossing above that line and it's breaking out to new highs, right?
Yeah, I can see it. So that tells you that it's time to buy, even if the regular chart actually looks ugly, as you said.
100% correct. And it takes real courage to make that decision. I'm not going to tell you that's an easy decision to make. But you can see here, right after it crossed that line, this catch-up coin started on an epic run. Look, had you invested again, just $1,000, nothing crazy. You could have turned it into over $1 million. That's 1,000 times your money, John.
Okay, wait a minute, Tika. Hold on. You're saying had I invested just $1,000, I could have become a millionaire with just this one catch-up coin.
With one coin, a coin that I recommended. So I want to put this in perspective for you. Let's say that instead of investing $1,000 into this catch-up coin, you decided to buy a stock with it. Now remember, John, you've been blessed with this magic power that makes you the best stock picker in the world. It means you have the ability to pick the best stock in any given year. And you also have the ability to sell it at its peak price. So let's say using this magic power, you picked the best performing stock during that same time frame. And it happened to actually be a stock called NVIDIA, the chip maker. Have a guess how much you would have made.
No idea, but I know it's nothing close to $1 million.
Take a look. You would have made a little over $6,000. Now, of course, making 6 times your money in a stock in that short period of time, I mean, it's an incredible return. Most Wall Street pros and hedge fund managers would be ecstatic with that type of return. But it doesn't get you caught up. It's not even close to what a catch-up coin can do. Even though you had perfect timing, even though you picked the best possible stock you could have picked, and you sold at the absolute perfect peak, you still only make $6,000. It's good money, but it's not $1 million. And it certainly doesn't plug the gap in your life between where you are and where you want to be, right?
Right. I mean, it certainly doesn't get you caught up.
So I hope what you're beginning to see, John, is that the stock market, for what we want to do, is hopeless. If you have limited means or you can't take massive risk, friends, I will tell you right now, if you are relying on the stock market and you're over the age of 30, it's too late. If you're waiting for the stock market to bail you out, there is literally not enough time left in your life to get where you want to go. The clock has already run out on you because the stock market can never deliver those types of gains in the time frame you have left. I mean, if a hot stock like NVIDIA, which beats every other stock in the S&P 500, can't help you, then nothing in the stock market will. Look, I'll be the first to admit, it does not feel good to hear that. This is an ugly, inconvenient truth that most people would rather hide from. But you can see this truth now with your own eyes, how hopeless it is to rely on the stock market to get you caught up. And that's why I had to be here tonight, to share my knowledge on these catch-up coins and the coming hyper boom that I believe will take them to levels we have never, ever seen before.
What can I say? I mean, nobody does tough love like you, Tika. I got to tell you that. But, I think I'm starting to see how stocks really, they can't help you catch up. And Tika, you make it look so easy with your indicator. So how exactly does that work? Is this some kind of moving average?
No, it has nothing to do with moving averages. In fact, you can't find this indicator in any single website or any chart software, and I've never revealed it before. In fact, John, you could pay, if you wanted to right now, $24,000 a year and gain access to a Bloomberg terminal, which is the most advanced provider of market data software you can find anywhere, pretty much at any price. It's the one that all the pros on Wall Street use. And you still won't find the data you need to put this indicator together. Now, look, I promised I'll hold nothing back and I'll reveal all the details behind my catch-up coin indicator in a moment. I promise you, okay? I'm going to keep that promise, John. But first, I want to show you what happened again in 2016. There should be a chart coming up of another catch-up coin. Do you see that, John? Is it up there?
Yeah, I see that. And you know what, Tika, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'd say this looks terrible, but I know where you're going with this.
It does look terrible. If you're only relying on this chart to make your decision, it looks like the worst possible investment you could ever make. And also, during that time, money.com published this headline, why you shouldn't invest in Bitcoin.
Huh.
So if you take this combination of an ugly looking chart and the media telling you that you're an idiot if you invest in cryptos, I don't blame people for not buying this and not being active back in
Right.
16 and 17. But I want to show everyone here why I was active during that time, because this is the chart that I was looking at.
Huh.
You can see that this looks completely different. It's breaking through that green line. It's giving that buy signal and looking completely different from the chart that everyone else was looking at.
That is fascinating. I can see it because it's going up. And once it crosses that line, Tika, it just takes off.
Exactly. Again and again and again and again. When it crosses that line, it's like a huge neon sign just lit up across the sky, screaming, buy, buy, buy. That's why I recommended this crypto to my readers back then. In spite of all the negative headlines, in spite of the ugly traditional chart. And anyone who listened to me, who invested just $1,000, watched their money grow into as much as $1.5 million in just 10 months. Think about that, John. You put $1,000 into this coin when I say buy, and you go about your life. 10 months later, you're a millionaire. Your life is never the same again. You're caught up. You've bridged that gap. And this isn't just wishful thinking. I'm not just hoping that someday my readers will tell me this has happened. They've already reported this happening in their real lives. My readers have had the chance to go from a thousandaire, if you will, to a millionaire in a matter of months. But only catch-up coins have the power to do that, not stocks.
That is just, it's insanely good information, Tika. $1,000 into $1.5 million in less than a year. I don't think I've ever seen, I've never seen anything like that in the stock market.
Again, even if you're the best stock picker in the world with just peerless information, you cannot make that type of gain from $1,000 investments. So again, let's say, for example, you were able to pick the best performing stock during that same exact period, which in this case was a software company called Arista Networks. Had you invested that same $1,000 into the stock instead of the crypto coin, the catch-up coin, you make $2,580 instead.
Okay, so even with perfect timing and picking the absolute best possible stock, $2,000. That's it?
That's it. I mean, look, it covers a mortgage payment, right?
Right.
But that's it. It's not going to do anything else for you. It's not going to help you catch up.
No, it would not do that.
It's really sobering when you understand that even when you own the best stock in the market and sell it at the absolute perfect time, it's still not enough to bridge the gap between the life you have and the life you want. It's quite sad, really.
It is sad, Tika. That's the perfect word because, millions of Americans are behind on their retirement plans. I mean, they're looking for a way to catch up, but they're relying entirely on the stock market. And I got to be honest with you, I think you've made it pretty clear by now that the stock market just isn't going to bail you out. That just isn't going to work for you. So what is this indicator and how does it work? Can you finally tell us, Tika?
Absolutely. So let me give you some background. Catch-up coins are usually small, misunderstood projects that have been hammered lower due to a deep misunderstanding of what the project is doing or going through at the time. A prime example was Ethereum. You already mentioned I recommended Ethereum back in 2016 when it was trading for $9. At the time, I had recommended buying it all the way up to $20. Now, Ethereum then boomed very quickly to 20, and then just as quickly, it collapsed 67%. At the time, one of the first and biggest smart contracts on the Ethereum network got hacked. And so the market lost confidence in the Ethereum platform, and the price crashed all the way back down to $6.
So that was even lower than when you first recommended it.
Yes, it was not a pretty time for yours truly. I was getting a lot of hate mail. But here was the strange thing. You see, this hack and price crash did not scare away new users. So I promised you that I'd reveal my indicator, right? So I'm going to do that right now. So take a look at this chart that uses my indicator, and you can see that as the price was dropping, the amount of new users was actually going parabolic.
So you're tracking usage with your indicator.
Exactly, John. If there is one thing to take away from tonight's event, it's that usage drives value. Usage drives value. The more a coin is used, the more valuable it will become. Now, I was fortunate enough to learn that lesson very, very early on my crypto journey. So I hammered the table even harder on Ethereum. And readers that listened to me and bought more at the lows had the chance to see gains of as much as 5,425% in just 6 months. So you put $1,000 in, then just 6 months later, you've got $55,000. And that was just the beginning. Readers that held on to it, like I told them to, had the chance to see peak gains of as high as 72,849%. John, that turns $1,000 into $729,000. And that's how you catch up. That's how you bridge the gap. Now, again, had you said, look, Ethereum just crashed down to $6. The chart looks terrible. I love you, but I think you're crazy. I'm not buying it. I'm going to invest in the stock market instead because I have perfect timing. So let's say you did that and you invested into the hottest stock at that time, which was the best stock to own, Tesla. Let's say you had a crystal ball that told you to get in at the absolute bottom and sell at the absolute peak. So with perfect timing in Tesla, that same $1,000 would have grown into a bit more than $20,000. That's amazing, John. It's amazing. But does it bridge the gap? Does it catch you up?
No, I knew you were going to ask me that question, and the answer is no, it doesn't. I mean, it's good money, like you said, but you can't even buy a Tesla with that.
Right? You can't even buy a Tesla with that. It's night and day. One of the hottest stocks in recent years gets you an extra $20,000. The catch-up coin gets you an extra life, a new life. With $729,000, you're caught up.
Okay, so that brings me to this question, Tika. I mean, it all looks amazing, but does this only work when the market is down?
The beauty of this catch-up coin approach is that it works in any type of market environment. So let's look at what happened in 2017. John, I don't know if you remember this, but 2017 was an amazing time for cryptos. That year alone, Bitcoin jumped almost 2,000%. And these were the kind of headlines you'd see back then. Crypto market is on fire. Bitcoin hits record and rising, and the cryptocurrency market is exploding. So you can see how cryptos were booming back then. Now, there should be a chart coming up on your screen with one of these catch-up coins during that period. So what do you think of that one, John?
Well, I don't know. It actually looks pretty good. I mean, it's booming, right?
It's booming. So the coin doesn't have to be collapsing in order for it to be a catch-up coin. In fact, this one had just jumped from 10 cents to almost 60 cents. That's 6 times your money. So it was doing great. Now, John, what usually happens is that people see a chart like this. They see this coin booming, and what do they think? They probably think a lot of what people are thinking tonight is that this coin has already jumped 500% in just a couple of months. It's too late. I missed the bus. It can't go any higher. Right, John?
Right. That makes total sense.
But I want to show you what my chart was showing. My chart was going much, much higher. Let me show you what I was looking at the time. It should be coming up. In this case, we were tracking a usage statistic of active wallets. And you can see here, it's crossing above that line and breaking out into even higher highs.
That is fascinating. I see it.
Right. So the usage was exploding at a faster rate than the price action of the underlying coin. And so what did that tell me? It told me that the coin would go higher. It would go much higher. So I wasn't afraid to recommend it, even though it had moved up a lot. So let me show you what happened next. Had you invested $1,000 when my indicator triggered buy, you could have cashed out 8 months later with a little over $570,000.
It's stunning. It's stunning. In 8 months, you go from $1,000 to more than $500,000. It's just incredible.
Absolutely. So you can see, John, that this strategy works even when the regular chart looks good, even when the market is booming. Again, let's create some perspective here. Let's imagine you had impeccable timing in the stock market and you said, look, I'm not going to buy this coin. Sure, it looks good, but I think it looks too good. I'm going to buy a stock instead. Well, the best performing stock from that period was, again, NVIDIA. But NVIDIA didn't even get close to this catch-up coin. Take a look. The best performing stock of that period would have doubled your money. My catch-up coin makes you 570 times your money.
Yeah. See, these gains are in another dimension. These catch-up coins really make the stock market look like a joke.
Exactly. And that's what I want everyone to understand tonight. If you walk away from this event with just one thing, understand this. The stock market cannot catch you up. If you're relying on the stock market to catch you up, it's hopeless. I'm going to show you another example. This is from 2019, because there were periods in 2019 when there were huge rallies. I remember that year. Bitcoin jumped as high as 280%. Cryptos were coming out of crypto winter exactly as I had predicted. And the new bull market was starting to grab headlines, like this one from Forbes. And let me show you the chart of this other catch-up coin. Now, even though Bitcoin was rising, you can see here, this coin was flat. It was going nowhere. So I want to show you how this works in a flat market. Now, you might have looked at this and thought, you know, this coin it's kind of a dud. It's not going anywhere. So I'm going to show you the chart I was looking at. You can see this usage line here crossing the green line, and it's making new highs. So even though the price action in the coin is doing nothing, it's going flat, the usage is blowing up. And what does that tell me, John?
And that tells you that it's time to buy, right?
Look at you, John. You're almost a crypto expert now. I'm going to put you on my payroll.
Easy.
Look, had you bought this when it crossed the green line, this boring flat crypto, you could have seen a peak gain of 32,794%.
So again, that turns $1,000 into about $328,000.
Think about that, John. Now compare that to the best performing stock during the period, which was Caesars Entertainment. Now, as stock started to recover from the COVID crash, this stock had an amazing run, up 756%. Now, let's say you put your crystal ball to work and you pick that stock with perfect timing, got out at the peak. Okay, you turn $1,000 into $8,560. That is an insane, out of control return from the stock market, but it ain't $328,000. So you can see this approach has worked in any market, bull market, bear market, flat market. The catch-up coin strategy keeps winning again and again and again. And we're faced with this horrible, ugly truth that for many of us, we're too old to get caught up if we're relying on stocks alone. We lost too much money in 2003 to the dot-com crisis and too much money in the great financial crisis in 2008 to get caught up with the stock market. We have to do something more if we want to bridge that gap. Now look, that's the bad news. Here's the good news. We are on the verge of a hyper boom that I believe will ignite the biggest moves we've ever seen in the largest amount of catch-up coins we have ever seen. In fact, I'll say this right here, right now. Some of the moves going forward from this hyper boom could be bigger than any moves I've ever seen or shown my readers before.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. So let's talk about that hyper boom. But before we get into the details, I just want to remind everyone of something here, Tika, that in just a few minutes, Tika is going to give you the name of his top catch-up coin absolutely free, just for attending tonight's event. His past free picks have an average peak gain of more than 17 times your money. So you definitely want to stick around for it. And of course, we're also going to have our Q&A coming up later. Okay, Tika, here we are. Let's talk about what's happening now, because you mentioned an unprecedented event that's about to hit the crypto market. I'm very curious. It's an event you call the hyper boom, and you say it will trigger the biggest catch-up coin opportunity ever. Now, after all these monster gains that you've been showing us and we've been talking about, I got to tell you, I'm finding it a little hard to believe it could get even bigger than that. Tika, this has got to be a huge event. I mean, can you talk about that?
Yeah, I will, but I want to impress upon everybody that these types of events, these types of booms, and especially this hyper boom, which has never happened before, are very, very rare events. And generally speaking, catch-up coins are very difficult to find. And what I've noticed over the last 6 years is that they typically happen in clusters. And it all has to do with one thing. And this is very important. I want you to write this down. You get these booms and you get these clusters of catch-up coins when crypto adoption expands. Again, please write that down in big block letters. Crypto adoption. Friends, I'm here tonight with this opportunity because there's about to be an explosion of crypto adoption on a scale that no human being alive today has ever seen before. I believe this unprecedented wave of adoption, which basically means new people coming into crypto, will unleash a hyper boom of usage. And I call it a hyper boom because no one has ever seen this level of usage before in the entire 10 years that cryptos have been around. And you already know that from what you've seen here tonight, that the bigger the usage, the bigger the boom. John, we are about to see a hyper boom of usage flood into this market. Let me repeat, it's a level of usage we have never, ever seen before. And we will never see this surge of usage again. This can only happen once in your lifetime. Think about it this way. Back in the 90s, we could have only gone from 100 million internet users to 5 billion internet users one time, right?
Well, that's right. You can only do it once.
And if you miss that growth cycle in the internet, you cannot go back in time and catch it. It's the same thing here. Friends, you must hear me. If you miss this hyper boom of usage, you will never, ever again have the chance to add so much wealth to your net worth so quickly with so little risk. I'm going to repeat it. If you miss this hyper boom of usage, you will never, ever again in your lifetime have the chance to add so much wealth to your net worth so quickly with so little risk. Let me show you what's happening. You should be seeing some headlines coming up on your screen. I want you to take a look at this one. This is why the hyper boom is coming. You can see here, Bitcoin is coming to hundreds of US banks. For the first time, customers of hundreds of US banks will soon be able to buy, hold, and sell Bitcoin through their existing accounts. John, banks have a combined 300 million checking accounts that will be eligible to enroll in this program. 300 million. And according to the head of Fidelity National Information, which is actually leading this onboarding effort, JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America could be next. Those are the two largest banks in America. JP Morgan could bring in as many as 55 million new users. Bank of America, 66 million. And they're planning to roll out bank accounts that pay interest in Bitcoin. Think about that, John. Where do you bank, for instance?
Bank of America.
So imagine if you could just log into your checking account and with a click of your mouse, transfer some of your money into another account that you have with Bank of America, but instead this one pays interest in Bitcoin. What do you think that'll do to the number of Bitcoin users?
It's going to go through the roof.
Through the roof. And that's just the beginning. Take a look at these other headlines. Wells Fargo could bring in as many as 70 million users. A similar deal with credit unions is about to bring in as much as 24 million users. Morgan Stanley, well, they've got 8.2 million customers. Deutsche Bank, 24 million. BNP Paribas could bring in as many as 33 million.
Wow. I mean, so all the big banks are starting to accept crypto, is that right?
It's not just the banks, John. Look at the credit card companies. Visa recently launched crypto-linked cards that make it easy to convert and spend cryptos at 70 million merchants worldwide. It's been a huge success. Take a guess at how many people use a Visa card.
I don't know. I don't have a guess, but I'll tell you this, it's pretty much everybody.
3.3 billion users, John.
Wow.
MasterCard is also offering a card option to people wanting to spend their digital assets anywhere MasterCard is accepted. That's another 975 million potential users.
You know, you go back to that Visa alone is huge, 3.3 billion new users.
And the thing is that's not all. This goes well beyond financial institutions. We're also seeing big tech finally get serious about offering Bitcoin on their networks. Take a look at this job post on Amazon's website. Their payment acceptance team is looking for a crypto expert to lead their team. They're currently exploring accepting crypto as a payment. Now, I know they've denied this rumor that they'll start accepting Bitcoin, but John, we pulled this post directly from their website. So why would they be looking for a crypto expert to lead their, and again, payment acceptance team?
That's a great question.
Amazon could bring in as many as 300 million connected users. Twitter is also embracing Bitcoin. That's another potential 330 million users. Square could bring in as many as 210 million. All in, we are looking at more than 5 billion potential new users about to come into Bitcoin. We've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. This is a tsunami of new users. I can see how that's huge for Bitcoin, Tika, but what does that have to do with the catch-up coins?
Well, remember what I've been saying all night, right? What have I said all night? It's usage that drives value, right?
Right. So you showed that the higher the usage, the higher the coin should go.
Right. So when usage booms, especially Bitcoin prices boom. But guess what happens? All these new people come into Bitcoin now filter down into some of these catch-up coins. But because these coins are so much smaller than Bitcoin, they are much more sensitive to what, John?
Usage.
So while Bitcoin is booming, because it's so big, can't hyperboom. But because these coins are so small and so sensitive to usage, they hyperboom. Let me show you what I mean. There should be a chart coming up on your screen. This is the number of active Bitcoin wallets. What do you see, John?
Well, it looks like usage is booming.
Right. More and more people are using Bitcoin. You can see that the number of wallets jumped from 17 million to almost 19 million. That's an 11% growth. Now take a look at the usage for one of these catch-up coins during the same period. It jumped from 650,000 users to 82 million users.
I'm breathless, Tika. I get it.
Right. That's a growth of 12,515%, John. Compare that to the 11% growth in usage in Bitcoin. It's exponentially higher. It's 1,100 times more powerful than what we saw in Bitcoin. That's the difference, John. That's the difference between a regular boom and a hyper boom. And it's going on across several catch-up coins as we speak. According to Crypto.com, global crypto users more than doubled from 106 million to 221 million. So let me show you how this hyper boom is actually occurring right now and how it's triggering wildly magnified gains in a handful of catch-up coins. Look, with this recent boom in usage, Bitcoin more than doubled, and that's a great return for just a few months, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't think anybody would complain if they doubled their money so quickly.
Correct. But you asked me, how does Bitcoin usage impact catch-up coins? And I told you that as usage of Bitcoin goes up, those users, those new users that come in, filter down, and it has an outsized effect on the catch-up coins because they're so much smaller. So while Bitcoin doubled, this coin that you can see on your screen now jumped 36,775%. That turns $1,000 into more than $368,000 versus just $2,000 from the Bitcoin boom.
Wow. I mean, these catch-up coins really put Bitcoin to shame, don't they?
Of course. Now, John, remember, these are some of the best performers this year. And like I mentioned before, I can't guarantee my 6 coins will see these kinds of gains. But John, these massive gains are already happening now because the hyper boom is here. There is an explosion of usage in Bitcoin that's raining down on the catch-up coins, causing an enormous explosion of usage in these tiny, tiny coins. And we've barely scratched the surface. Remember, the number of crypto users jumped from 100 million to 200 million. But over the next 10 months, billions of people will be able to get in crypto for the first time. So yes, we will see a boom in Bitcoin, a continued boom in Bitcoin, but we will see a hyper boom in the catch-up coins. Remember, higher usage equals higher prices. Massive usage equals a hyper boom for the coins most sensitive to usage, which, as I've now shown you, are catch-up coins. I'll tell you this right now, John, the catch-up coins will see the biggest hyper boom ever because the amount of usage is about to explode to a level that no one has ever seen before, even bigger than what we saw in 2016 and 2017. This is why now is the perfect time to be invested in catch-up coins. Just as my research shows, we are on the cusp of the largest usage boom in the history of all crypto. That's why I said in the beginning of today's event, it's like a barrel of TNT on top of a crate of nitroglycerin, sitting on top of 100 tons of weapons-grade plutonium. The subsequent hyperboom in catch-up coins will be staggering, will be life-changing. And I found 6 of what I believe to be the very best catch-up coins I have ever discovered.
Ever? Wow, that is quite a statement, Tika. I mean, you've already delivered gains as high as 35,000%, 48,000%, and even 151,000% in 10 months. But now you're saying these new coins could be even better.
And it's all because we are at a unique time in history. It's a time in history that can never, ever happen again. You can only go from 200 million users to 5 billion users one time. And once this opportunity is over, it will never, ever come back. There are no time machines. Friends, if you missed out on the last big boom in the 90s of the internet, when we went from 100 million internet users to 5 billion internet users, this is your second chance, and it's your last chance. The decision you have to make tonight is simple. Do you want to sit on the sidelines and watch everyone else reach their financial dreams while you hope and pray for the stock market to bail you out? That's your first choice. The second choice is to participate in the hyperboom. I've already shown you the stock market cannot get you where you want to go. It's physically impossible. Even if you pick the best stocks, even if you have perfect timing, you can't catch up. The hyperboom in the catch-up coins is the only way I know of to bridge the wealth gap between the life you have and the life you want, and potentially do it in as little as 10 months.
Okay, TK, you know, you teased me earlier about maybe putting me on the payroll, so let me just see if I've got this here. Follow me. we're about to see a massive new wave of users like we've never seen before. We're talking billions of people. And because usage is what drives value, you're expecting to see a boom in Bitcoin. But the biggest gains will happen in these catch-up cryptos because they're the smallest cryptos and most sensitive to usage. So if you're looking for a chance to catch up, for a chance to make gains of 35,662%, 48,370%, and even 151,323% in 10 months, peak gains that, by the way, you've delivered in the past, the only way to do it is with these catch-up coins.
It is the only way, John.
Okay, all right, well, with all that in mind, can you give us that name of that catch-up coin that you promised?
Absolutely. I'm going to discuss several coins. So let me show you what I'm seeing now on the 6 coins in my Hyperboom portfolio. There should be a chart coming up. Now, this is the usage of my #1 catch-up coin, the coin that I'm going to share tonight. And what is that telling you, John?
Well, okay, it just crossed your indicator line and now it's starting to take off.
Exactly. And that's just the beginning. What do you think is going to happen when all these billions of new users flood into the market?
Well, based on everything that you've showed us, I'd say prices will skyrocket.
Forget skyrocket. It's going to go to Mars. It's going to go to a whole new universe. And that's why I wanted to host this event tonight. That's why it's so important to get money into these coins now. Every day you wait, you run the risk of missing out on the biggest gains possible from these coins.
And this catch-up coin that you just showed us is the one that you're going to give away today?
Exactly. I'm a man of my word. So I've shown you the usage chart of this coin because I want everyone to participate. I'm very excited about this one because it's solving one of Ethereum's biggest problems. You see, Ethereum is becoming so popular that they're starting to have really big problems with their network. Users are experiencing slow transactions. They're paying out of control usage fees. And this project I'm recommending today, it solves that problem. Now, I don't want to get too technical, but they're making Ethereum transactions cheaper and faster. Do you remember, John, how in the early days of the internet, everything was, just super slow? And you had these little modems and everything took forever.
Oh yeah, of course. You'd click on a website, then you had to wait a few minutes just for the page to load.
So this project basically acts as a cable modem for Ethereum. It makes everything faster and easier. And this project is already processing over 7.4 million transactions per day. That's nearly 6 times the number of transactions taking place in Ethereum. And I expect that number to continue to grow. This could turn out to be the biggest winner of my free picks. But before I give away the name, I want to discuss the other catch-up coins. Remember, my brand new Hyperboom portfolio has a total of 6 catch-up coins in it. And I want to show what's happening with the usage in these coins. So there should be a chart coming up on your screen. John, what do they all have in common?
Well, it looks like your indicator just triggered a buy, right? The usage data just crossed above the line and it's starting to skyrocket.
All right, and what does that mean? It means buy, 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 because we're in the early stages of this hyperboom. Now, I can't reveal any more details about these cryptos in tonight's broadcast because it just wouldn't be fair to my paying subscribers. There's a legion of people online trying to figure out what my next recommendation will be. And they always try to guess, but they're always wrong.
Well, after everything that you showed us here today, I really can't blame these people for trying to find out. But, I think we can all understand how it just wouldn't be fair to your subscribers.
Right, but here's what I've done. I put everything you need to know in a brand new research report that's called the Hyperboom Portfolio. Of course, I'm not talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, or any other coin you see all the time on the internet. There's very little information about these 6 coins online. Most people, they don't even know they exist. So I put together a comprehensive guide that will tell you everything you need to know, including the names and a full write-up on each of these coins. I'll tell you why I believe they have the potential to get you caught up. And I'll walk you through step by step on how to buy them.
Speaking of that, Tika, how easy is it to buy these coins?
It's super easy. It's gotten a lot easier in recent years. You can buy them with just a few clicks. Even if you've never invested in cryptocurrencies before, you'll be able to buy them very quickly. Take a look at Betty Jane. the woman who turned $12,000 into $1.2 million. When she found my research, do you think she was a crypto expert, John? I mean, do you
No,
think she was day trading Bitcoin?
absolutely not.
No, she didn't. She knew nothing about crypto. That's why I had my team set up an entire crypto master course that covers everything from how to set up an account, how to buy crypto, how to store it, and how to trade any crypto. And that's how Betty Jane was able to quickly get started on her path to getting the life that she wanted, to plugging that gap in her life. And again, I want to be very clear here. We're not just going to give you a report, give you a pat on the shoulder and wish you good luck. As mentioned, my team has recorded a video course that walks you through everything and makes it super easy so you can get started right away. And thanks to this course that we've created, we've been able to help grandparents, stay-at-home parents, farmers, grade school teachers, everyday people that have no technical background. We've helped them get started. So once you get your hands on this special report, you'll also gain access to my Crypto Master Course completely for free.
All right, now that sounds great. So I get my hands on this report, Tika, and I'll see the names of 6 catch-up coins there. So what do I do next? Immediately buy all of them?
Immediately, you buy them all. Remember, this massive adoption is happening as you and I are speaking right now. The hyper boom is already beginning. One of my catch-up coins has already doubled in just the last few weeks. So it's no exaggeration to say that if you wait even just one day, you could end up leaving massive gains on the table.
Just one day. Tika, I mean, does it really make that big of a difference?
I'm going to show you. So you don't have to take my word on it. I want you to take a look at this catch-up coin from August 2015. You could buy it here when I recommended it, or let's say you decided to wait just one day, right? Just one day, John. Even looking at the chart, it doesn't look like one day is a big deal, right?
Not at all.
So what I'm going to do is show you another chart showing the difference between buying it on day 1 and buying it on day 2. There should be an image coming up now.
Oh my gosh. That's got to be a typo, Tika.
It's not a typo. Had you invested just $1,000, but if you waited one day, it would have cost you more than $1.1 million in lost profits. So you tell yourself, look, Tika, this all sounds good, but I'm busy now. I'll buy these coins tomorrow. Then you come back 24 hours later and you find out you've left over $1 million on the table. Imagine telling your spouse that you missed out on all that money just because you waited one day. Imagine the regret you're feeling knowing you could have easily made $1 million more. John, that kind of regret, that haunts you to the grave.
To your deathbed. Yeah, well, okay, I can see that now. So just one day does really make all the difference in the world. So let's not waste any time here. Folks, this report is ready to go. We're ready to start sending it out immediately. And Tika is about to reveal the name of his free recommendation. But this report is only available to Palm Beach Confidential readers. So tonight, we're opening the doors to Tika's research service, a service that arguably has the best track record in the industry. I mentioned this before, but it's worth repeating. Tika has picked 22 tokens that have jumped at least 1,000%. Many have jumped much, much higher. Take a look at what would have happened with $1,000 invested in each one. I've never seen anything like this before. Now, folks, of course, we can't guarantee you'll see those same types of gains. We all know that investment carries some level of risk and that cryptos can be very volatile. With that being said, the great thing about Tika's strategy is that just a handful of $1,000 could turn into a lifetime of wealth. Meanwhile, take a look at the gains from the best performing stocks Tika mentioned here today and ask yourself, which one do you want? Which one will get you closer to your goals? Which one will help you catch up? You can get started today with Tika's brand new Hyperboom portfolio. And when you join Palm Beach Confidential, you'll not only get access to the never before released Hyperboom portfolio, but you'll also get access to the educational videos and ongoing buy and sell alerts from the most trusted man in crypto. Now, because of all these benefits, this service is not cheap. The retail price for 1 year is $5,000. Now, I know it sounds like a lot of money, But we all know that the best things in life are never cheap. When it comes to research service, you can look at all the other newsletters out there, and I doubt that you'll find one with a track record that comes even close to this one. You'll also be working with the most connected man in crypto that I know of. Tika even had one of the co-founders of Ethereum as a guest for one of his events. He's connected to all the major crypto projects going on all over the globe, which really gives you an edge in this market. And when you consider that a single catch-up coin from Tika could turn $1,000 into over $1.5 million, $5,000 is a bargain, right? But because of this urgent situation with the usage about to explode, triggering this hyper boom in catch-up coins, and because these coins are already on the move, we're temporarily lowering the price all the way down to $2,500. That means tonight, you can save $2,500. When you join tonight, you'll find out all the details on the 6 catch-up coins in that portfolio inside your special report, the Hyper Boom Portfolio. That means when you join right now, you'll get the name of Tika's #1 catch-up coin before he releases it to everyone else here tonight. Right now, there should be a button that says Join Now on your right. Go ahead, click on that button. You'll be amongst the first ones to get your hands on this model portfolio. I think that's fair to your paying subscribers, wouldn't you say, Tika?
Oh, 100%. Anytime I release a new coin, my subscribers are always the first to get them. There's never an exception to that. And I hope everybody watching can understand.
Okay, so click on that button, and it will take you to a separate page where you can see all the details of this offer one last time before you join. And by the way, don't worry. You'll get to keep watching this broadcast and our Q&A because when you click on that button, it opens up a separate window, so you're not going to miss a thing. And remember that Tika showed us that waiting just one day, could end up costing you $1 million. So please, don't wait. Click on the button now and get the name of all 6 catch-up coins. You'll also be protected by Tika's 90-day satisfaction guarantee. Look, if you're not 100% happy, and you contact us within the first 90 days, you'll get a full credit refund, good for any product we or our partners publish. Now, if you prefer to talk to someone, you can also call the phone number on your screen right now. You see that, it's 1-800-436-1295. But I have to warn you here, every time we do an event like this with Tika, the lines get super busy. So you might be on hold for a while. Really, the fastest and easiest way for you to join and get your hands on Tika's research with all his brand new 6 catch-up coins is by clicking on that button. Remember, Tika's past catch-up coins have already jumped as high as 35,000%, 48,000%, and even 151,000%, and that's in 10 months. Now, these numbers are coming straight from Tika's track record. That's got to be the single best track record of anyone in any space. As a matter of fact, I don't know if anyone even gets close to that. And Tika, that can't just be luck, right?
Look, if I had only a handful of winners, 2, 3, 4, 5 winners over 6 years, maybe it could be luck. But 22 tokens that could have made you a minimum of 10 times your money, and that's not including the slew of other coins I recommended that went up 3x, 4x, 5x, and 7x. That's more than luck.
You got that right. And Tika, we're not even mentioning the tokens that jumped less than 1,000%, like some of your open picks that are up as much as 590%, 713%, and even 745% as we speak. In fact, you have as many as 37 open crypto trades that are up triple digits. I mean, that is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, you can't pick things at random and have that type of success. So our secret is that we've built an amazing team of about 20 researchers, and we've invested an enormous amount of money building out our team. They spend all day looking for the next best crypto idea, and this gives us a huge edge over anybody in the space. So this usage data that I've been showing you here today, for example, I mean, we've been honing that usage data down for 6 years because you could spend days looking for that data online and you might not find it. It's not easy to dig up. And another thing that we've discovered is that each coin has its own measure of usage. It has its own metric. So it takes an incredible amount of research and deep domain knowledge, crypto expertise, to figure that out, which usage metric to use for which coin.
Yeah, and you know what else we haven't talked about, Tika, really, is your timing. It has been incredible. And that's another benefit of Palm Beach Confidential, right? I mean, your buy and sell alerts. Because I remember at the peak of the market back in the late 2017, it was a total buying frenzy. Everyone thought that the market was going to keep soaring higher and higher. But you sent out an update to your readers telling them that a correction was coming. You told them to take some profits. You know, I think that we actually have an image of that alert here. Let's take a look. You told them to take some cream off the top, didn't you?
I did, and I'm shaking my head, John, because it was probably the one decision I made that I received the most hate mail for in my entire professional career. You know, many of my readers believed that cryptos would just keep going higher, but I knew the market was overheated. So I said, look, you know, we got to take some money off the table here. And for those folks that listened to me, they had a chance to lock in gains of up to 11,318%.
Yeah, and then after the crash, when pretty much everyone had given up on cryptos, you told them to get back in and buy some of these catch-up coins. Some of these, by the way, have jumped as high as 3,422%, 9,593%, and even 12,193%. And that's why I say your buy and sell alerts, well, that's another huge benefit of Palm Beach Confidential. So, folks, click on the button now to get started and get your hands on the Hyperboom portfolio. Again, you'll be able to continue to watch our broadcasts and our Q&A. You won't miss a thing. Now, Tika, before we kick off the Q&A and you give us the name of your number one catch-up coin, I want to play a short clip, if you don't mind. It's a message from Betty Jane, your reader who had fallen into some hard times, but was able to catch up with your help. After making $1.2 million, she sent us this video explaining what getting all caught up meant to her. Let's check it out.
When you realize that you're not only going to have money to eat and put a roof over your head in retirement, but also enough to share and travel and have fun with your family, that's life-changing security with a lot of joy mixed in. It's changed how we spend and enjoy our time right now and given us hope for a better retirement and even given a little more peace of mind to sleep at night. For those of you watching, I know you can make this kind of money because I've made it myself. I had no prior experience investing money, and at the time at least, I had little money left to spare. I've run into many folks like me who have similar stories. No experience, not much money, yet in a relatively short time, they find themselves sitting on new piles of money that they never had before. I think you'll agree that people who hear about this and then do nothing will make nothing. So if you want to see gains like these, like my husband and I did, you're going to have to move with purpose right now. I can tell you, if I had sat on my hands back then, I wouldn't be talking to you today. This changed our lives forever.
Tika, this is absolutely amazing.
John, this is what drives me. You know, I worked on Wall Street for 15 years and I made very good money. But helping the rich get richer, it just left me feeling empty. You know, I had money, I had success, I had accolades, but I wasn't happy. And you know a little bit of my story, John. I grew up with nothing in the UK foster care system. From the age of 8, I was in and out of foster care. So growing up, just personally, I always had this huge gap between the life I wanted and the life I actually had. And it was a massive gap. And that's what drove me to come to the United States of America. So yes, I made a lot of money on Wall Street, but the shock for me was that money did not bring me any happiness. I realized on Wall Street that I was extracting value from the world. I wasn't adding value. I was part of a system that was actually widening the gap between the haves and the have-nots. And, you know, coming from my blue collar background where I was, you know, I started out loading trucks working in kitchens, mopping floors. And coming from that background, it never felt right to me what I was doing. So I left and I joined the newsletter industry. I knew that I wanted to help everyday people like me, people that were willing to work hard, be focused, and do the work, but have a legitimate shot at getting the life they wanted, not the life that had been forced upon them. Because I know what it's like to live a life that somebody has forced upon you. And this coming hyper boom in the catch-up coins is the fastest, lowest risk way I know of bridging that financial gap between where you are now and where you want to be. And please remember, it is physically impossible to catch up with just stocks. It would take you more than 2 decades to hit the same performance of just one of my coins.
A life that has been forced upon you. That can only come from a guy that's felt the pain and has been there. It's really awesome stuff, Tika. All right, with that said, I'm going to grab the iPad here from my producer, and I want to jump into our Q&A because already, Tika, I'm getting some really great questions. So here's what I want to do. I want to answer a few questions, and then I'm going to ask you about your number one catch-up coin. How does that sound? Good?
Let's do it, John.
Okay, so the first question that I'm getting, I love this one. This is one that I've actually been asking myself. You mentioned earlier that new members should buy all the 6 coins immediately, but how much do you recommend that folks invest in each coin?
It's a terrific question because this is critically important to your success as a crypto investor. So I recommend you put the same amount of money into each idea. It's called uniform position sizing. So you invest between $200 to $400 into each idea if you're a smaller investor, and you can put $500 to $1,000 into each idea if you're a larger investor. Because there's no need to bet the farm on these ideas, because these ideas have the ability to just magnify your wealth so quickly. And that's how you get caught up without putting your current lifestyle at risk. And that's the key here. I never want anybody to risk where they are to get to where they want to go. And the beauty with catch-up coins is you don't have to take that risk.
Love that. Got it. Okay, here's another one. Tika, I think you made pretty clear how these catch-up coins can really help close the financial gap, but how about Bitcoin and Ethereum? Do you still like them?
I love them. Oh yeah, those are 2 core holdings, and I absolutely love them. But because they're so large, right? One's almost $1 trillion and the other's over $500 billion. You can't put $1,000 into them and bridge that gap. It's just too late. They're not catch-up coins anymore. Does that make sense, John?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And it was kind of what I was thinking you might say. Here's another one. Tika, how fast do you think this massive adoption will happen?
Much faster than anybody can possibly imagine. And I'm going to give you some more details on that. So the biggest thing that was slowing adoption down was we didn't have a regulatory framework in place where a bank or a brokerage firm or a financial advisor would have a roadway into these assets in a compliant way, right? But now we do. So we have all these service companies that have come up that are helping big banks like JP Morgan, Bank of America, or credit unions that are building the pipes or the rails, if you will, that will allow customer funds to go in and out of crypto. And that's all been announced just recently, which is why I believe over the next 10 months is when you will see this massive surge of adoption take place. Because the first thing is they've got to get the pipes in place, which are in place. Then they've got to cut the deals with the firms, which they've done. And now they're in that phase of educating the people that work in the firms so they can offer the products. And again, that's exactly where we are right now. And it's already starting to filter through. Remember, we've come from 100 million users to 200 million users. But now it's in that next step that we're going to go into the billions of users. And that's what's going to create this hyper boom of usage and this explosive move higher in these catch-up coins.
And that is why it is so exciting. You know, we're getting all these great questions in. Folks, I just want to remind you, remember that Tika showed us that waiting just one day could cost you over $1 million in lost profits. That's real. So don't delay. Click on that button to get started. Now, I see that a lot of people have already joined Tika, so don't be left out. You need to click on that button right now. And right now, speaking of that, Tika, I have another question for you. What do you say to people who still think Bitcoin will go to zero? Billionaire John Paulson just said that recently.
I think that you could have made a case in 2009, 2010, 2011, maybe even all the way up to 2013 or 14, that Bitcoin could go to zero. But Bitcoin has been operating now for 10 years with no centralized control, and it's grown to be worth $1 trillion. It's the fastest aggregation of $1 trillion worth of wealth in history. So I would say that if Bitcoin was going to go to zero, it would have already gone to zero. And so that we have passed that point. John Paulson is a brilliant traditional investor, but he doesn't understand Bitcoin. If he did, he would see that you now have every major investment bank, every major money manager on the planet is opening their doors to Bitcoin. And so just based on supply and demand, short of a catastrophic bug in the software, it's physically impossible for Bitcoin to go to zero. There's only 18.5 million coins in the world, and we've got 5 billion new users coming into the space. So again, I would say Paulson is about 7 years too far behind in terms of his fears, and they're not based in the reality of where we are, but they're more based in his misunderstanding of the asset.
Well, you called him brilliant. I don't know anybody else that's throwing down the information that you are, so I'm going to throw that term right back at you. It's just brilliant stuff. Now, look, we're running out of time here, Tika, so can we talk about your number one catch-up coin, the one that you said is solving Ethereum's biggest problem? What's the name?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to give you the name, but to remind everybody, one of the biggest problems right now in Ethereum is it just does not scale, right? So you've got New York City sized traffic trying to go down a country road. It's a problem. It's creating problems. So what this, now that will change with Ethereum. Ethereum's coming out with their 2.0 version, and it will essentially be like a super highway that traffic will be able to go through easily and a lot cheaper. But right now there's a project that's solving that problem, and it's one of the most widely used solutions to that problem, and its usage is just exploding. Now, even though this project has done very well, I think that just like in a project earlier before where I had showed you that had gone from just a few cents up to 60 cents and then ended up going up another 500x, this particular project, even though it's had a big move, I think can have an even larger move because the usage is far outpacing, the pace of usage growth is far outpacing the rise in value of the project. And the project is called Polygon, and the symbol on it is MATIC, M-A-T-I-C. That's M-A-T-I-C, and it trades on all the major exchanges. I think Matic is deeply undervalued. I think this could end up being my number one performing free pick of all the picks that I've given. So I would definitely recommend getting involved in Matic, M-A-T-I-C. They're solving a huge important problem on the Ethereum network, and the usage is exploding.
Well, you sure are being generous with your information here tonight. You got any last words, Tika?
Yeah, I do. Friends, every now and again in your life, there are these moments, there are these decisions that you have to make. And if you're my age or older, you look back on your life and you say, huh, if I had made just one different decision then, the following 20 years, the following 30 years would have been so different. Because I made this one decision maybe 15 years ago, wow, my life really improved. Or you look back most of the time and it's, wow, I didn't make that decision and my life went down the wrong road for a long time. This is one of those decisions. There is no way to get the life you want and to rebuild the damage that you might have suffered in the crash of 2003, the crash of 2008, maybe even the crash of March 2020. There's no way to recover that lost ground from any conventional investment that I know of. It could be in commodities, it could be in stocks, it could be in options, it could be in penny stocks. I don't care what it is. There's no way that you can get caught up on a handful of $1,000 investments from traditional investments. It can't happen. Right now, we are at this unique time in history. We're at the very beginning of an explosion in usage and new users coming to a brand new asset class, which is crypto. And look, 5 or 6 years ago, you could have said to me, I don't believe that crypto assets are going to be treated as a legitimate asset by the financial system. And I'd say, okay, we have a difference of opinion. I believe they will, but it's rational that you think that. It's not rational to think that now. Here we are in 2021, and every major financial institution on the planet is getting ready to bring their customers into crypto assets. They've accepted it. Crypto has won. Bitcoin has won. It's an globally accepted asset class. Even Goldman Sachs has come out and said, we accept that Bitcoin is now a financial asset. I talk to hedge fund managers, money managers, and billionaire investors all day long. And you know what they all tell me? They say, Tika, we cannot ignore this market. It's $2 trillion. You cannot run money and ignore a $2 trillion market. And they are coming in, and they are coming in droves, and they are bringing in all of their customers. Now that leap from 200 million users to 5 billion users, an enormous amount of wealth will be created as you see this stampede of new users come into this space. But it can only happen one time. One time. You can only go from 200 million users to 5 billion users one time. You can only take a handful of $1,000 investments and potentially change your life during a mass adoption event like that. It can't happen once you have 5 billion people in the marketplace. You don't have that asymmetry of information anymore. And so the movements are much smaller because the whole asset class is so much bigger. So this is it. This is that moment in time where if you make the wrong move, it will mentally scar you for the rest of your days. You will look back with a level of regret that you have never experienced before in your life. Because here I was, the one man in this industry that has consistently been right and in the right place at the right time for the last 6 years, when this asset has been popular and when this asset has been unpopular. I've been there helping my readers navigate the nonsense, stay focused on the right projects in order to change their life. I will never abandon you, ever. I don't care if the market's up huge or down huge. I will always be there with you, by your side, taking you through this process. Just like I have with my readers back in the depths of the 18 and 19 crypto bear market, which were horrific. So this is more than just an investment newsletter. This is a relationship that we have that I'm asking you to make an investment in. Because at the end of the day, you have 3 choices today. 1, you can rely on stocks and hope and pray that you have even better than perfect timing, and that you can use those stocks in order to bridge that financial gap. 2, you can participate in this hyper boom and potentially change your life in a way that you couldn't even imagine before. Or 3, you can do nothing at all. You can pretend you never saw this information. You can lie to yourself a year from now when billions of people are in these assets and when these coins potentially are dramatically higher, and say to yourself, oh yeah, no, I didn't hear about that. I didn't know anything about that. That's not a life you want. A life of regret is no life at all. Friends, this is the lowest risk, highest reward opportunity I know of to finally bridge that gap. The gap between the life that has been forced upon you by circumstance and the life that you want. I've helped thousands and thousands of people transform their lives through crypto assets. Let me help you. All right, friends, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. John, I want to thank you for agreeing to host tonight. It's always wonderful to work with you.
Thank you, Tika. And I know that your time is extremely valuable. That's why you're having to call in from a hotel room in Colorado as you do more research. So on behalf of everybody watching, thank you for your time and all your information. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and friends, I want you to always remember, let the game come to you.